In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this crochet heart in rows. This crochet heart was created in rows. In a previous tutorial, I showed you how to create crochet hearts when you work in the round. And this one today, I'm going to show you how to make a heart working in rows rather than working in the round. Now this one I have in a playlist. This one is from a playlist that I created of crochet hearts, starting with a tiny size all the way up to an extra large size heart, and all of those hearts in that playlist were worked in the round. And I will leave a link in the description box below if you want to see how to make the crochet hearts working in the round. We'll also have an iCard in the corner that you can click on that will bring you directly to that playlist of the crochet hearts that are worked in the round. But today I wanted to show you that you can also make a heart working in rows if you prefer to learn how to do that. If you'd like to learn how to make this crochet heart, please continue watching and I will show you how to make it. I'm going to use a size J or 10, 5.75 millimeter crochet hook. And I'm going to use 4-ply worsted weight acrylic yarn in the color of red. To begin, I'm going to start with a magic ring. Okay, so that's how I'm going to start the beginning of this heart with this magic ring. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 3. Now this chain 3 will count as the first double crochet, this row 1. So I'm going to do 3 more double crochets because I want to have a total of 4 double crochets. Essentially we'll have the chain 3 and 3 double crochets in this row 1. Go ahead and do 3 double crochets into the center of the magic ring. So now we have our 4 double crochets because we are going to count that chain 3 as our first double crochet for this row 1. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull the tail of the magic ring to close it up. And that completes row 1. So now let's go ahead and do row 2. So for row 2, we're going to go ahead and chain 3. And then we're going to turn our work. And then into that same first stitch, we're going to do another double crochet. And then the next 2 stitches will have 1 double crochet each. This was the beginning chain 3 that we counted as a double crochet, so we're going to do 2 double crochets into the top of that beginning chain 3. Okay, so that completes row 2. So for row 3, chain 3, and then we're going to turn, and then into that same first stitch we want to do a double crochet. Because we're counting this first chain 3, our turning chain, we're counting that as a double crochet. This chain 3, the turning chain, that counts as our first double crochet, and then we're going to do a double crochet into this first stitch. And then into the next 4 stitches, we're going to do 1 double crochet each. Okay, and then we don't want to forget about that chain 3. We definitely want to work into that too. So into the top of that chain 3, we're going to do 2 double crochets. Okay, and that's what row 3 looks like so far. So the 2 stitches on the end, they have 2 double crochets each because we do count the chain 3 as a double crochet. So 2 stitches into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then 2 double crochets into that last stitch, which was from the previous row. Okay, so for row 4, we're going to go ahead and chain 3, turn our work, and then into this very first stitch we will do a double crochet, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next 6 stitches, Okay, and we don't want to forget that chain 3. Into that chain 3, into the top chain there, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So for this row 4, the first 2 stitches, 2 double crochets, since we're counting the chain 3 as a double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into that last stitch, and in between there was just 1 double crochet in each of those stitches in the middle. Okay, so for row 5, we're going to chain 3, turn our work, into that first stitch, a double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into the next 8 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Okay, and then here's that chain 3. So into the top chain of that chain 3, we'll do 2 double crochets. Okay, so the first stitch had 2 double crochets since we count the chain 3 as a stitch, and that last stitch had 2 double crochets, and then the 8 stitches will be in the middle, 1 double crochet each. Okay, so for row 6, we're going to chain 3, turn our work, and we're going to do a double crochet into that first stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. And then into these next 2 stitches, we're going to do a single crochet. So we started off with the chain 3, which was our turning chain, and did a double crochet into that first stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we don't want to forget about that chain 3. Into the chain 3, the top chain, we're going to do 2 double crochets. Okay, so that completes row 6. Okay, so for row 7, we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to turn our work, and we're not going to do a double crochet into this first stitch, we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. We have started with the chain 3, and then we did 1 double crochet into the next 5 stitches. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. We're going to do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So this one will have 1 single crochet. The next one will have 1 single crochet. Then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next 5 stitches. And then into the top of this last chain 3, we're going to do 1 double crochet, and that completes row 7. Now we're going to begin row 8. Now row 8 is going to also have some treble crochets. Okay, so for row 8, we're going to start off with a chain 2. Now in the other rows, we started off with a chain 3, but for row 8, we do want to start with a chain 2, and then we're going to turn our work, and then we're going to skip this first stitch. And then We're not going to work into this stitch. We're going to work into the very next stitch. We're going to do a half double crochet. Then the next stitch will have 1 double crochet. And then the next stitch will have 2 stitches. They're going to be 2 treble crochets. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, leaving these last 2 loops still on your hook. And then you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Then you'll do yarn over, pull through these 2 loops, leaving the last one still on your hook. Then you'll have 2 loops remaining on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And that is how you do your treble crochet. Okay, so that completes the first treble crochet. So we want a second treble crochet into that same stitch. So we're going to do our second one now. Into the next stitch, we're also going to do 2 stitches. We're going to do a treble crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. So let's do our treble crochet. And then a double crochet into that same stitch where you just did the treble crochet. Okay, so far for this row, we started off with a chain 2. Next stitch had 1 half double crochet. The next stitch had 1 double crochet. Then the next stitch had 2 stitches, 2 treble crochets, or sometimes you'll hear it called a triple crochet. Next stitch, a treble crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. Now into this next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet. And then we're going to do a slip stitch right into this next stitch. And then a slip stitch into the next one. And then here, the next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet. And then this next stitch will have 2 stitches, a double crochet and a treble crochet into the same stitch. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. Then, so we just did a double crochet and a treble crochet into the same stitch. This next stitch will have 2 stitches. We're going to do 2 treble crochets into this stitch. Okay, the next stitch will have 1 stitch. It's going to be 1 double crochet. And then the next stitch will have a half double crochet. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to chain 2. And then we're just going to do a slip stitch into the top of that turning chain right there in the previous row. And now we have finished making our crochet heart. And now what you can do, you can decide if you want to do single crochets around the edge, or you can even do slip stitches. So let's go ahead and do some single crochets. Okay, so we're going to do a round of single crochets. So you'll work evenly here, single crochets along this edge, and then I'll show you what to do when we get to this point of the heart. So we'll just evenly place single crochets along this edge. Okay, so I worked, so far I did 13 single crochets. So you can put a stitch marker here, or you can just look at it and realize that it's just before you get to the curve of it. So when we come back around this side, you want to do the same amount to this point. So we would do 13. But before we work along this edge again, we're at the point of the heart now. So what I would do here is just try to get into that point there. So just turn your hook, and then we're going to do a single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet right back into that same point there. And basically what I'm doing is I crocheted into that magic ring on the other side of it. So if you wanted to, maybe when you first start, maybe don't pull the tail of the magic ring too tightly so you can work into that space again. If you want to do single crochets around the border. Okay, and then we're going to work. So to this point, which is right here, I did 13 stitches along the edge, so I'm going to work 13 stitches along this edge. That way it'll be nice and even. 1, 4, 5, and 7. And if you have to turn your hook to grab that edge, that's fine too. And then sometimes if the stitches are too tight along the side, you can always turn your hook to grab it. So that's 7, 8, 9, 12, 13. So I'm going to keep working around. And then once you get to the top of the curve of the heart here, it's easier to work into the stitches because you can see the V stitches now at the top of the stitches. Okay, so I'm just working 1 single crochet into the top of these stitches here along the curve of the heart at the top. Okay, and then here in the middle where it kind of dips down before we work along the top of the next curve of the heart, if you work into these stitches, then you're going to lose that heart shape. So what you're going to do here is you're going to want to just do like slip stitches. Do a slip stitch there, and then in the center here do a slip stitch, and then this next one do a slip stitch, so that way it doesn't lose that heart shape. So those 3 stitches, like right in the middle, I did slip stitches, and then I'll work single crochets along the top of these stitches. Okay, and I'm almost at that point where I began the first single crochet. And this is where I began that first single crochet, so then I'll do a slip stitch to join. And that's how your heart looks. Isn't that cute? It looks perfect. And that is what your finished heart looks like. And then I'm ready to cut the yarn and fasten off. Just go ahead and yarn over and pull that through. Give it a tug. And then you can weave in your ends. Now, if you wanted to sew this onto something, I mean, you can make the tails a little bit longer to use those to sew it onto your project. So then I'm just going to weave these tails in. Okay, so we have completed our crochet heart. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and like the video. And I want to thank you for watching today. Have a great day.